Wyatt, Senior Purchasing Agent here at CoreChem. We're talking about the current situation, mostly what's going on in the Middle East and its effect on commodity chemical pricing.
Hello, I'm John Rippetoe with CoreChem, here with a recent update regarding developments in the Middle East. Many of you may already be aware that the curtailment of oil flow out of the Strait of Hormuz has resulted in a fairly sizable increase in the wholesale price of crude oil. Whether that's a short-term spike or long-term pain has yet to be determined. It is, however, resulting in conversations with most producers about price increases and the necessity to change wholesale market prices on many of the items that we currently supply.
The oil futures kind of spiked a lot late last week, and they're starting to come down, and we would probably anticipate them continuing to come down in the absence of anything happening, but things can change pretty rapidly. And then as far as actual prices go of oil-based products, I would expect them to come down as well, but they would be following the futures. What we're seeing, agricultural, and then obviously the petrochemical industry, we're seeing a large increase in propylene glycol specifically.
We are working through the ripple effects of this as we speak and expect to have some updates on pricing a little bit later this month, if not the 1st of April. What we can say with certainty right now is that diesel prices and wholesale prices for gasoline have changed. We expect to see a rise in transportation costs, at least in the near term. We're not exactly sure what fuel surcharges will do over the coming weeks, but we have already been advised that there are price adjustments coming. In addition to the adjustments to transportation cost, we are working through adjustments on the raw materials that we supply because several of the producers we work with have already announced price increases for March the 15th, and others have conversations ongoing for adjustments on April the 1st. Last but not least, we're working through what we anticipate will be some availability issues on a handful of products. We have already been advised that fertilizer production will be affected and availability of fertilizer going into the summer season will be a problem. In addition, we're also looking at spotty availability of certain produce products, the things that you and I might put on our table. Those might be affected as well. Although that doesn't necessarily have an effect on our business, that is one of many knock-on effects that we can expect to see over the coming weeks. That really will depend on how long the situation in the Middle East plays out.
I'd say it's affecting California a lot specifically because they have a special blend of gasoline that was already kind of hard to come by, and this is making it a lot worse. I think we're actually in a lot better situation here in the Southeast specifically than most. Also probably affects Houston a lot given how many petrochemicals specifically come into the Houston port.
Different regions in the United States stand to be affected differently, in large part because the United States trades mostly on West Texas Intermediate crude versus the rest of the world trading on a product known as Brent. In addition to that difference in wholesale pricing, there are regional import terminals that we may see either on the northeast coast, the southeast, the Gulf Coast, or the west coast. And as a result, you'll see different laid-in product prices and then transportation costs to and from various terminals across the U.S. There are also additional country or region-specific issues like what we're seeing over in California. Many may have already read that California is in the process of shutting down one of their last refineries in the state because per the oil producers, it is too costly to operate such a facility in California, despite already having some of the most expensive gasoline and diesel prices in the U.S., prices in those regions are set to rise yet still. We have seen similar situations play out over the last 10 to 15 years, although they are, according to most market analysts, supply-demand driven. As a result, the $140, $150 a barrel crude oil we saw several years ago played out in that the run-up in prices curtailed demand for most of the derivatives. And as the demand for products went down, so did the price. That's the wonderful balance to a free market economy. As supply remains tight in face of steady demand, prices usually rise to a point that demand ends up being curtailed, and then prices eventually come back down. As one of our suppliers put it years ago, rest assured, high prices cure high prices, and low prices cure low prices.
I think we're in a pretty strong position here. We don't import that much. It still affects us, but I think our supply chain is pretty strong.
For those of you who are happy to work with us here at CoreChem, we appreciate the business and the opportunity to continue working with you. We value the trust that you've placed in us, and we'll work to keep you informed as we keep you supplied.